What's going on, guys? So a lot of you have been asking me about jungle build. So first of all, before we get into it, I do want to thank you all for all the support and the love you guys have been showing. You guys have been amazing. Again, all of my builds are in the Discord below. You guys are more than welcome to join and see all of these at any time. But as for the jungle build, now I am a Chimera main in the jungle. So this build is going to be specifically tailored towards a Chimera and countering Chimera. Because in case you guys didn't know, Chimera's pick rate right now is 118%. So Chimera, there's a guarantee to be a Chimera in one of the two teams that you're fighting every single match at this point. Now, when it comes down to it, you can use this build on other heroes. For example, maybe like a Quang. I wouldn't necessarily suggest it for Boris. It is viable also on Sevarog. But at the end of the day, again, I just want to emphasize this is mainly a Chimera build. I will be releasing more builds for other junglers down the road. Stay tuned for those, but let's get right to the video. All right, guys, as always, so I first want to show you guys, when you come into my Discord, first you're going to get the Read for Access channel. You guys just have to hit that little heart button right there, like many of you have done already, and then you get access to the whole Discord. Once you get access to the whole Discord, on the left hand side you're going to see all the different chats. You're going to click on the one that says WinDo Fault Builds. There you're going to be able to see all my different fault builds, all my different theory crafting that I do, and you're going to be able to use them for yourself and keep them for yourselves, no problem, easy access. Now let's get right into the build as Chimera, because again, being mindful, as I mentioned before, this is going to be a Chimera mainly type of build, but it is viable for other characters as well. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is let's go into the aspects. I am going to suggest Titan and Beast Hunter. I'll explain why. Titan, effect number 1. You don't take damage for if you don't take damage for 10 seconds, it'll grant you a shield of 8% of your max HP. So the tankier you are, the bigger your shield is. That's perfect when you're initiating fights. Effect number 2, you receive 0.5% of your total max health as physical and energy power. That means the tankier you become, the more power you get. Be mindful of that. Now, this is going to be a front line, kind of like a jungle bruiser type of build, and I'll explain that a little bit. The second aspect that we're choosing here is Beast Hunter. Why? 10% reduced damage taken from neutral minion attacks. That's in the jungle, just a little bit easier to jungle. Effect number 2, neutral minions kills permanently increase your power by 0.5 and your health by 4. Now, killing jungle minions is going to increase your health and your power. Remember what the first effect was? The more health you get, the more power you get. Keep thinking about that whenever, as we go on, because that's a general purpose of this build. You're going to get tankier, you're going to get more health, you're going to get more power. The more tankier you get, the more power you get. But first, we're going to start off with items that are going to be more useful as a jungler. Now, I personally started off with Jar of Hearts as my first item. I'll explain why. Jar of Hearts is going to give you 35 physical power. It's going to give you 35% attack speed plus 1 per rank, but we're not putting our points into purple, we're putting them into green. So far, 35% attack speed, which is always nice as a Chimera or any other jungler, and 4% lifesteal. This card is going to give you power, attack speed, and sustain. The passive, every time you hit a basic attack, you apply trauma to a target for 4 seconds. That means you're applying anti-heal. You're reducing 50% of their healing. If it's Chimera versus Chimera, you're already going to win the fight because you're reducing his healing. If you're attacking an ADC and they got a Narbash support, you're already winning the fight because you're reducing the healing coming from the Narbash. This is going to be essential to out jungle some of your enemy junglers that have healing in their kit or that build healing into their kit, and it's going to be essential for ganking some people that might have some healing into their lane, because mages can have ability healing, ADCs can have lifesteal. Shredding that is going to be huge to come out on top. Now, the active of this card is using abilities and landing basic attacks stores a charge, or a stack as many of us call it. At 60, you now complete the item. When you activate this charge, you get 40% extra lifesteal for 4 seconds. So you can be in the jungle farming, getting kills and everything. As soon as a team fight comes up, let's say you leap in as a Chimera, you're there doing all the attack, you're about to die, pop your Jar of Hearts. Now you get an extra 40% life steal. You're in the fight longer, you're destroying people, your team is there doing damage, but the whole purpose is you're surviving a shit ton early game because of this Jar of Hearts. You get where I'm coming from there, guys? So very, very important. Now after you activate it, the stacks reset back to 0, so you do have to build them back up, but that 40% life steal is the difference between being the last one alive in a 5v5 or quite simply dying because you didn't use your actives properly. Now moving forward to the second item, Shade Steps. Why are we using this one? Because not only do you get 40% movement speed normal, but when you're out of combat you get an extra 25% movement speed. That means when you're out of combat, you move faster than anybody else. Is somebody trying to run away from you as Chimera? You don't want to use your leap. You're still going to be able to catch up to them with your basic movement speed. Your ganks are going to be faster. Your rotations are faster. Less time wasted in between camps. So that means that your farming is going to go more efficient. This is going to be huge as a jungler, and that's why I recommend this as your boots. Second item. Now, once you have those 2 purple items for those effects, then you're immediately going to start building tankiness. The first one that I'm recommending is Baleful Armor. You're getting 510 health, 66 physical armor, plus 1 per rank. 510 health. Don't forget, guys, the more health you got, the more damage you're doing. You're going to become stronger as well by building this. But since we're putting all of our points into green, for those of you that are not aware, favor is basically points that you acquire by completing certain feats throughout the game. That means that, like, for example, getting your first kill, helping to kill your first tower, taking raptors. As Chimera, you can solo raptors with this build. Taking raptors at that point, every raptor that you get is 1 favor. And then in your inventory on top, you're going to apply them all into green. You can only apply aspects to the same color of the, you can only apply favor to the same color of aspects that you chose in the beginning. Since we chose 2 green aspects, we're then applying all favors into green, meaning every point of favor that you get, or you're now getting extra physical armor off of this. Now let's listen to the passive here. The passive, enemies around you receive energy damage per second. 3 times the amount of your level. The higher your level is, the more energy damage they get. So you're not only doing crazy physical damage with your basic attacks, but you're now doing passive energy damage as well. This does have an active also. Every second, for 5 seconds, enemies within a certain amount of unit take 1% of your max health as energy damage. Guys, this is a max health build. You're not only getting your damage, but if you pop this, the enemy's taking 1% of your max health per second as energy damage for a total of 5 seconds. That's basically 5% of their max health melted just because you clicked the button. You didn't even have to hit them. Think about how impactful that is, guys. Now, moving on to the next item, we're going to go onto Unyielding Mantle. 425 health. Even more health is being stacked on top. You're getting tankier. You're getting more damage. This gives you 36 physical armor, 36 energy armor. So now every point of favor that you increase with Baleful Armor and Unyielding Mantle, you're increasing your armor. 20 points of favor means 20 points of extra physical from Baleful, 20 extra energy armor from Unyielding Mantle. You guys have to be mindful that this is endlessly stacking armor as the game goes on, but your health is also going up, which means your power is also increasing. That's where your power comes from your max health. Now, the active on Unyielding Mantle, cleanse and become status immune for 2 seconds. Are you a Chimera that just leaped in and is trying to get out? Activate it. You're now able to walk out of there. You can't be stunned for 2 seconds. You can't be slowed for 2 seconds. This is fucking huge. Sometimes those 2 seconds are the difference between you surviving or you being able to get away. That is huge. Be mindful. And if you guys didn't know, you can drag your items around in your item menu, rearrange them from left to right with a right click. I would recommend always, even though you're building in this order, always put your active items over 1, 2, 3, because that is what's going to make the biggest difference for you guys. Now, moving on forward to our last item, Fist of Titan. 35 physical power plus 1 per rank. Now we're getting damage per every item, every favor that we have invested, but another 490 health, guys. Even more health to add on top of that. We're already getting the armor from Unyielding Mantle and Baleful Armor, endlessly stacking armor, might I add. That's why the last two items here are going to be Fist of Titan, because even though you can only get the active off of one Fist of Titan, the active does not replicate, which means basic attacks apply 2% of your max health as energy damage on hit. Guys, 2% of your max health. This is a max health build. You're going to be melting with these these active items in the build. You're going to be destroying everybody. Active items are going to be huge, but if you build 2 Fist of Titans, you're getting almost 1,000 max health only from these 2 items, guys. Think about that power that you're going to gain, and you get 35 physical power plus 0.5 power per rank off of both of these items. Guys, come on, think about it. You're literally getting so much max health. You're literally going to be, by the end of this build, like 3,000-4,000 max health. You're going to be so tanky off of Baleful Armor and Unyielding Mantle. You're at this point, you might have been basically soloing every single Raptor. You are taking charge as the jungler, and you are destroying. You're literally going to be so tanky. You're sitting there in the fight. You need more lifesteal, pop your Jar of Hearts. You're able to gank everybody. You're able to tank. You're able to have plenty of life, and you're still doing plenty of damage because your health brings you towards more damage. That's the general purpose of this build, guys. As a Chimera, you dive in, you take hits, you land as much damage as possible, which in this case, that's the beauty of it. You're not only doing all this stupid physical damage, but you're also doing energy damage off of your passive and your actives. If you guys play this build properly, I promise you, you're going to be one of the most unstoppable Chimeras out there. People are going to look at you and think the Chimera is broken, but if you don't use these actives properly, if you don't use the passives properly, if you don't farm properly and rotate properly, then quite frankly, guys, it's not the build. But I promise you, as long as you build accordingly, you guys are going to love this build. I've gotten so much good feedbacks off of this build. Be mindful, this build is not for every jungler. It's viable on some, but this is not for every jungler. This is mainly based off of Chimera, the most picked jungler right now. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Guys, if you haven't joined my Discord, like I said, that's where we're putting all these builds for you guys to access at any time. Thank you so much, and like always, until next video.